It is November 1st, which means we are now over 3 weeks into this NHL season, which is insane. It feels like October flew by. Now, obviously, it's still very early, but with each NHL team having played at least 9 games, I figured for the first one from every team video of the season, I would go through and talk about my first impressions on each NHL team so far this season. If you guys enjoy these style of videos, be sure to leave a like. That is the best way to let me know that you enjoyed. And if this is your first time checking out the channel and you want more NHL content just like this all year long, hit that subscribe button. We are trying to hit 100,000 subscribers this season. So with that all being said, let's go ahead and start off like we always do in alphabetical order with the Anaheim Ducks. Anaheim hasn't been bad this season. Like the last few years, they are still struggling to score. They rank just 31st in the NHL in goals for per game, but thanks to some outstanding performances from Lucas Dostal, they've been able to hang around games and currently find themselves at 500. I don't think this is going to be the season that they take that next step and get back to being a playoff contender, but there's definitely lots to like about this Ducks team. And on a side note, with how well Lucas Dostal is playing, it kind of makes me wonder, is this the year we finally see John Gibson traded? The Boston Bruins, man, nothing is really going right for them right now, and I mean nothing. Their special teams haven't been good, the defense hasn't been good, the offense hasn't been good, the goaltending hasn't been good. It does feel like something's got to give for them here soon. They definitely need some more production from the top of their lineup in terms of the forwards. David Pastrnak isn't getting a whole lot of help right now. For an example, Mark Kastelic is tied for second on the Bruins in scoring so far, and I mean, good for him, but like that's not cutting it. Guys like Pavel Zacha and Charlie Coyle have been ice cold. Elias Lindholm has been underwhelming. The Boston Bruins are definitely better than the way they're playing right now, but who knows? Maybe this is the year we finally see a change in the Atlantic Division in terms of the teams that make the playoffs, and maybe Boston's going to be the team that falls out. The Buffalo Sabres are up next. Pretty underwhelming start for them. There really just isn't any consistency when it comes to this team from season to season. A few years ago, they had one of the best offenses in the league, but didn't make the playoffs because the defense and goaltending wasn't good enough. Last season, they got really good goaltending from Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen. The defense was better, but the offense dried up. And now so far this season, Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen's performance hasn't been great, and the power play is completely and utterly useless. It really just feels like the Sabres can never get everything to click for them at once. The Calgary Flames have really cooled off after their red-hot start to the season. They have lost 4 straight games now, and lately they've looked a lot more like a lottery team than a playoff contender, which is what most of us expected from them coming into the season. The Carolina Hurricanes are up next, a team that had a lot of roster turnover in the offseason, but so far so good. They currently find themselves 7-2. They really are a well-oiled machine. They have such a strong system in place and are so well coached that it feels like it doesn't even matter who's on the roster because they're going to get the most out of guys. The Shane Gostisbehere signing already looks like an absolute steal, and the decision to hold on to Martin Necas instead of trading him in the offseason looks like a great move as well because he's popping off with 15 points in 9 games. The Chicago Blackhawks are up next, and they don't really find themselves in a different position than they were in last season. This is a team that's still quite a ways away from being a playoff contender. You still got Connor Bedard leading the charge offensively, and while yes, there's definitely some more offensive weapons around Bedard this season compared to last season, Teuvo Teravainen especially has been a really good fit in his return to the Blackhawks, but at least so far it doesn't look like all of those additions are going to add many more wins for the Blackhawks compared to their win total from last season. The Colorado Avalanche, man, talk about a team that is snake bitten. They cannot catch a break right now. It feels like every single morning I wake up and check Twitter to see if there's any new NHL news. I'm always greeted with some kind of Avalanche injury related news. The amount of key players on the shelf right now for the Avalanche is absolutely insane. Even Matt Steinberg just got suspended for a couple of games. The other day they had defenseman Oliver Shillington playing forward. That's when you know it's bad. Honestly, considering the list of players that are out of the lineup right now for them and the kind of goaltending that they've gotten so far this season, it really feels like a miracle that they're 5-6. Next up, we have the Columbus Blue Jackets. Definitely one of the more surprising teams so far this season for me, in a good way. They currently find themselves 5-3-1, and things are really clicking for them offensively. Sean Monahan has been fantastic, which you love to see. Kirill Marchenko and Yegor Chinnikov have been very productive. It looks like they've both taken a big step. And as a team, they've been pretty solid defensively as well. According to Money Puck, they have just 18.55 expected goals against so far this season, which is the 7th fewest in the entire league. Obviously, I have my doubts on if the Blue Jackets are going to be able to keep this up, but at least so far, they've been a lot more competitive than I thought they were going to be. The Dallas Stars have gotten off to a fantastic start to the season. They're 7-2, which isn't really a big surprise to me. I predicted them to finish first place in the Central this season. When I ranked every team on a tier list coming into the season, I had Dallas as one of the 4 teams in the Stanley Cup contender tier. I think from top to bottom, Dallas is one of the most well-rounded and deep teams in the entire league. The Detroit Red Wings, man, I really do not feel good about where they're at right now. It feels like every single game they get heavily outshot, heavily outchanced, and with the way they're playing right now, unless they get an unreal performance from Alex Lyon or Cam Talbot, they're just not going to win very many games. The Edmonton Oilers are up next, and it feels like they're kind of starting to figure things out a little bit. Draisaitl had a massive performance last night against the Nashville Predators in a blowout win. They're still trying to get the power play going, which is a bit of a surprise. I mean, the Oilers have had one of the league's best power plays for a long time now. I feel like it's only a matter of time before that starts to click. Overall, Edmonton's not in a bad spot right now. They get off to a slow start, but not near as slow of a start as they got off to last season. The Florida Panthers currently find themselves at 7-3-1, and they have to be pretty happy with where they're at right now, especially considering they haven't gotten the greatest goaltending up until this point, and they haven't even had Tkachuk and Barkov in the lineup at the same time a whole lot yet either. Sam Bennett has really stepped up in Barkov's absence and is playing great. Anton Lundell is breaking out before our eyes, and Sam Reinhart continues to prove that he is one of the most valuable players in the entire league. The Los Angeles Kings have had a pretty solid start to the season, led by Anze Kopitar, who is ageless. I've been very impressed by Brant Clark, who has came as advertised. The dude has been an offensive dynamo for them so far. Still waiting for Quinton Byfield to get going. He's not really having the massive season that a lot of people expected him to, and I'm also not really sold on their goaltending situation, but overall I don't think the Kings are in a bad spot right now. The Minnesota Wild are up next, another one of the most surprising teams in the NHL, at least for me. I didn't really expect them to do a whole lot this season, and so far they've proven me wrong. 6-1-2. They obviously had that insane streak to start the season where they didn't trail in a game through like the first 6 games of the season. As long as they keep getting this kind of goaltending from Philip Gustafsson and Kirill Kaprizov continues to play like an MVP candidate, then I think there's a strong chance Minnesota is able to make the playoffs this season. Next up, we have the Montreal Canadiens, who have definitely cooled off after a hot start. Samuel Montembeau's game has came back down to earth, but that's not to say there isn't any bright spots. Lane Hudson, I feel like, has done pretty well in very tough deployment so far as a rookie. He's got 7 assists through 11 games. And probably the biggest bright spot, Cole Caulfield looks like maybe the best goal scorer in the entire league right now with 10 goals already. The Nashville Predators, definitely one of the most disappointing teams in the entire league for me so far this season. After starting the season 0-5, they were able to rattle off 3 straight wins, and it was looking like they were on the verge of turning things around. And then just like that, they've lost 2 straight. Most recently, a blowout loss on home ice against a McDavid-less Edmonton Oilers team. They're really not doing a whole lot well right now, aside from the penalty kill, which is the best in the league. It's obviously still very early in the season, and I know it was just one game, but that recent loss to the Oilers, like watching them play last night, they just seem to be disconnected, and they don't look like a team that's close to turning things around. New Jersey is up next, and they've gotten off to a pretty solid start to the season. They're first place in the Metro, albeit they've played quite a bit more games than the rest of the division. For the most part, Jacob Markstrom has been pretty strong for them in net, and Stefan Noesen and Paul Cotter look like 2 of the more underrated additions from the entire offseason. They've provided the Devils with a nice layer of secondary scoring. The New York Islanders, man, first impressions of them are not great. They've had a pretty brutal start. The offense just isn't there. I mean, we've seen the Islanders struggle offensively in the past, but this is a whole other level of struggling. They've already been shut out 4 times. They rank 32nd in the league in goals for per game. You have to think something's going to give at some point. I mean, there's no way they're going to be the worst offense in the league all season long, and in order for them to make the playoffs, it's not like their offense has to be one of the best in the league either, especially when you have Ilya Sorokin in net playing as well as he's played so far this season. The New York Rangers, last season's President's Trophy winners, and so far they look like a team that could be in contention for the President's Trophy again. The goaltending from both Shesterkin and Quick has been great. Panarin's playing like an MVP candidate, and they're getting pretty solid production from up and down the lineup. Next up, we have the Ottawa Senators. They definitely haven't blown me away, but of that group of teams that they commonly get grouped in with, themselves, Buffalo, and Detroit, they definitely look the best of those three and look like the team that is going to be the first team to come out of that group and get back into the playoffs. The Philadelphia Flyers are up next, and they definitely don't look like a team that's going to be a legit threat to make the playoffs in the Eastern Conference, but Matvei Michkov by himself is enough to get me to tune into Philadelphia Flyers games. He was just named Rookie of the Month for October. The dude is electric, super fun to watch, and has been one of their more productive players so far this season with 9 points in 11 games. One thing that's definitely holding the Flyers back right now is goaltending. Oftentimes they can't get a save, and they definitely don't have the kind of offensive firepower to outscore those kind of problems. The Pittsburgh Penguins are up next. In my standings predictions I made before the season, I predicted Pittsburgh to miss the playoffs, but I said as long as they have Crosby and Malkin and those guys, playing at an elite level, I don't think this is a team that's going to be, in jeopardy of being one of the bottom 5-ish teams in the league or being in contention for a first overall pick. But based off what I've seen from them so far, I kind of want to retract that statement because they look like a team that could definitely be in contention for the first overall draft pick, and they're a team that could probably use it. Speaking of first overall draft pick, the San Jose Sharks are up next, and despite the fact that they've won 3 straight games, they're still only 3-7-2 in our last place in the division. That being said, there's definitely quite a few bright spots. Mikael Granlund has been deployed in tough minutes as a number 1 center, and he's been very productive for them. In their most recent win, Will Smith picked up his first 2 NHL goals, 2 absolute snipes. They should be getting Celebrini back in the lineup soon, which is obviously exciting. And Jake Wallman has been fantastic for them on the blue line and would actually be leading the Red Wings in pretty much every category for a defenseman, which kind of makes me want to turn into the Joker, but it's nice to see Wallman doing well. Next up, we have Seattle, and they've kind of just been middle of the pack across the board. Joey Decord has been solid for them in net, which is nice to see. It doesn't look like he's just going to be, a one-year wonder. And Brandon Montour and Chandler Stevenson have both been pretty productive for them, which is nice to see because those were 2 of the more criticized free agent signings, I would say, not because they're bad players, but just because of the size of the contracts and the potential that they age very poorly, but so far so good. The St. Louis Blues are struggling a bit right now. They've lost 3 straight, but the big story for them this season has been Philip Broberg, who looks like the real deal, and he's really making Doug Armstrong look like a genius for that offer sheet. Broberg actually is tied for the team lead in points with Jordan Kyrou. They both have 9. Moving on now to the Tampa Bay Lightning, who have looked fantastic so far this season. Obviously, you got Nikita Kucherov doing Kucherov things, but the supporting cast is doing a really good job as well. Specifically, Anthony Cirelli, who I've been really impressed with. It looks like he may finally have that big breakthrough offensive season. We know he's got the defensive skills, and we know he's a good matchup shutdown centerman, but he's popping off offensively, which definitely adds a whole other element to their offense. Jake Gensel, their big free agent acquisition, has been fantastic. He's got 11 points in 10 games, and comparing his start to the season to Stamkos' start to the season in Nashville, it looks like they might have made a really smart decision there. The Maple Leafs are up next, and overall I've liked what I've seen from them, especially these last 2 games. Defensively, they've been solid. Chris Tanev, can't say enough good things about him and the way he plays and what he's brought to the table for the Leafs. Anthony Stolarz in net looks like one of the biggest steals from free agency. They still can't seem to get the power play going, which again, similar to what I said about the Oilers, is just weird. The amount of talent they can throw out there on a power play unit, they should automatically have a top 5 power play in the league by default, but something just ain't working right now. Shitty power play aside though, all things considered, the Leafs definitely aren't in a bad spot right now at all. Next up, we have Utah, who I feel like have already had a bit of an up and down season, even though it's still so early. They've definitely been pretty streaky, but overall definitely lots to like about this team. I think my biggest takeaway from their early season has been Sergachev, and the decision to trade for him looks fantastic. Sergachev is playing really well right now in some of the toughest minutes in the entire league. He's averaging almost 26 minutes of ice time per game. A legit number 1 on the blue line that you can throw out there in any situation is definitely something that this team has lacked in recent years, and it looks like they finally have that now in Sergachev. Next up, we have Vancouver, who currently find themselves 4-2-3, so, based off of their record, not really any need to hit the panic button yet, but the talk of the town right now when it comes to the Canucks is Elias Pettersson, who has just 1 goal in 9 games. His cold streak from the end of last season has carried over into this season, and he just looks like a completely different player. It looks like he's lost his confidence. There was a shot he had the other night. I'm sure everyone's seen the clip going around on Twitter. I'll try to find it and include it in the video, but like, he just looks broken almost. There's no doubt about it. If the Canucks want to be a legit threat to make it out of the Western Conference, they're going to need Elias Pettersson to be much better than the way he's performed so far this season. Next up, we have the Vegas Golden Knights, who have gotten off to a very good start to the season. I had concerns coming into the year about their goaltending situation and about their depth offensively, but Samsonov has given them pretty solid goaltending, and the depth has really stepped up. Dorofeyev's playing well and producing, so is Keegan Kolesar. Tanner Pearson, who they had on a PTO, has been productive. He's got 7 points in 11 games, and they also have one of the best, maybe the best line in the entire league right now with Eichel, Stone, and Barbashev, but it's not just that line that's doing the damage. The Washington Capitals might be nasty. They're 7-2, despite the fact that they haven't gotten great goaltending, and they haven't even had Matt Roy really at all this season, who was one of their big free agent acquisitions. He got injured after playing just 8.5 minutes. Offensively, they're scoring by committee. There's a lot of guys producing right now for the Capitals. Ovechkin has really started to heat up over these last few games. He's now up to 5 goals and 10 points in 9 games. The Capitals are really building off of the somewhat surprising season that they had last year, and they look like a team that is going to be a legit threat to finish with one of them top 3 seeds in the Metro Division. And now finally finishing off the video with the Winnipeg Jets, and my first impressions on them are they might be the best team in the entire NHL. Connor Hellebuck is doing Connor Hellebuck things, and offensively this team is on fire, led by Kyle Connor, who's up to 17 points in 10 games. There's 5 players on the roster who are a point per game through 10 games, and 10 players who have 8 or more points already. This team just comes at you in waves. All 4 lines can score. The forecheck has been great, and a big story has been the turnaround of the power play. Last season the power play was brutal. This season it's the best in the league, clicking at 44.8%. Absolutely unreal start to the season for the Jets, which we have seen them do in the past, and then they kind of tail off to close out the season. So we'll see if they can play a bit more consistent this season and keep up this elite level of play throughout the entire year. So that is going to wrap up today's video. Those are my first impressions on all 32 NHL teams so far this season. As always, I want to know what you guys are thinking, so be sure to let me know how you're feeling when it comes to your favorite team down below in the comments. If you made it all this way to the end of the video and you ended up enjoying yourself, please remember to leave a like. That's the best way to let me know that you enjoyed, and it does actually help out the videos a ton. And most importantly, if this was your first time checking out the channel and you want more NHL content just like this all year round, be sure to hit that subscribe button, and I will talk to you all again soon.